Shaw in August of 2014. I joined the Association of Parents, Teachers, and Students. A year later, he asked me to serve as president. I did not want to, but I reluctantly said that I would. Today, I am so happy that I agreed to do that for him. Because that service afforded me the opportunity to get to know him as a friend. I got to know him as a champion that he is. And I said is, not was, because he is still my champion. And he will always be my champion.
Amen.
As you know, Mr. Shaw served as Director of Student Services for the students here. The students at this school were his pride and joy. He loved everything about them. We talked so frequently, and when I say frequently, I mean every day between the hours of 12 and 3:30 when I would find myself at this school, talking with him in my capacity as the president of the APTA. I just enjoyed volunteering with him in whatever I could do to assist. I note on the program that indicates that his service to the master was his number one joy. But I would have to say service to the students in this school was his second joy. Mr. Shaw and I frequently talked about greatness and how important it is to instill in these young people that they too can be great. With the words of Martin Luther King, that Mr. Shaw loved, he would often listen to Martin Luther King in his car, and sometimes in the office when I wanted to hear R&B or jazz, he wanted to listen to Martin. But these words come from Martin, but they're echoed and provide the sentiment of Mr. Shaw. They're taken from the sermon that Martin Luther King gave approximately a month or so before he died. The drum major instinct, sermon. When he talks about, he identifies initially what being great really is and what service truly is. And he says, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to match your subject and verb to serve. You don't have to know Aristotle and Plato to serve. You do not have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. All you need is a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. And that today is the message that I bring to you from Mr. Shaw. He wants all of us to get along and to love one another. That goes for his wife, his family, the faculty of this school, the community of this fine city, and this state. So I challenge you. Let's all become great servants, and let's all love one another the way Mr. Shaw would want us to. Thank you.
Amen.
I would like all distinguished gentlemen and all alumni distinguished gentlemen to please stand. Your life was a blessing, your memory a treasure. You are loved beyond words and missed beyond measure. Good afternoon. Today we are all summoned here for a common purpose, and that's to celebrate the wonderful life of Mr. Willie Matthew Shaw III. Mr. Shaw was a very strong, passionate, and caring man who was also a very distinguished gentleman. Mr. Shaw would do anything for anyone, no matter your nationality, religion, creed, or what he would have heard about you. He always looked for the best in everyone. He would never turn anyone away. Mr. Shaw would welcome you into his life with his arms wide open. He made everyone a part of his family. Mr. Shaw cared a lot about this generation because he knew we were the future leaders of this country. He would always be there for anyone, even if he knew that he did not really have the time. Of course, he would make time for each and every one of us. In his eyes, we were all part of his family, even though we are not blood related. Mr. Shaw could motivate anyone at any time because he always seemed to know what to say. He'd always tell us to stay out of trouble and stay on top of your work. Everyone here would never forget the laugh or the grin that he would have cheesing real hard from ear to ear. One thing I can tell each and everyone in attendance is that if Mr. Shaw was here physically, this would be one of those moments when you would have that grin on his face. In his final moments, Mr. Shaw was still concerned about everyone doing their best. Even some of us visited him in the hospital. He had a very motivational speech to give. We all listened attentively. I can still remember our last conversation on the phone. He told me, and I quote, "You better stay in those books, boy, and don't forget I love you." I then began to smile and say, "You know I will, and I love you too." Even though I didn't know this would be the last time we would speak to one another, I know that he would still speak to me every day and he will be watching over us. I'm going to say that Mr. Shaw was more than just an administrative advisor or counselor, or even an educator. He was my best friend, and he truly would be missed. And he would be amazed to see how many people care for him. And he would want each and every one of us to know that he loves us and not to cry and be upset on his death. He would want us all to rejoice and celebrate each and every moment we all created with one another. Finally, I would like to close with the motto Mr. Shaw, Mr. Motor, and Mr. Martin, and all of us distinguished gentlemen still live by. And that is, being a male is a matter of birth, being a man is a matter of age, but being a gentleman is a matter of choice. It's been a pleasure to speak to you all today. God bless you all, and thank you for coming.
God bless you. Amen.
I met Mr. Shaw in 1984, and we've been friends and co-workers since then. When he came in to interview for the position of counselor at the Gary Middle School, when I finished talking to him, I could say, that's the man. He is the man because he cares about students. Number one, you hear a lot of people say students are bad these days, teachers can't teach. That's not so. Mr. George outside. Students are good. The majority of our students are good. And he enjoys working with students. In other words, I still call him Mr. Shaw, even though I went to birthday parties with him. We've been employer for years. He's still Mr. Shaw to me. I know he got Willie, Butchie, and the other names, but to me he's Mr. Shaw because I respect what he can do and the things that he's done. When I was sick, he checked up on me. When my father and my mother died, he was there. Me, he is a man for all seasons. He is a man for all seasons. I love him. I loved him. We used to go on trips together. You know, sometimes the budget at a school allow you to go on a trip. And I can remember when we were in Charleston one evening, about 9 or 10 o'clock, we got hungry. So we went down to the concierge or the people at the desk at this hotel to ask where we could get something to eat. The manager said, "Yeah, let me call the limo for you." So he had the limo to take Mr. Shaw to get something to eat. And when we got ready to leave, we said, "Call the limo." And we got it, and we had a good time. On many trips we go together. He was a learned man. He was a caring man. He worked effectively with everybody around him. And whatever school I was at, the first open that comes in this area, he was there with me too. And also at the junior high school, Berkeley was there. He was there to tell the kids what to do. And I enjoy working with both of them. And because that is, if you need somebody to go to Walmart with you 4 o'clock in the morning, we can make that happen. You won't have to go as far now, but we can make that happen. God bless everybody.
Bless you.
Good evening to everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
On behalf of Florence School District 1, Superintendent Dr. Randy Bridges, the Board of Trustees of Florence School District 1, and the entire Wilson High School family, there's great sympathy that we want to extend our deepest sympathies to you in your time of bereavement, to Mrs. Shaw and the entire Shaw family. Always know, if you need a shoulder to lean on, you have one at Wilson High School. I just want to say a few words about our dear friend, Mr. Willie Shaw. As if everyone knows me, I'm a man of very few words, but I hope my words have a purpose. Mr. Shaw, when I talk about him, I want to use all 3 verb tenses. I'll try not to use the past because my faith allows me to believe that even in death, your spirit lives on. So I won't use too much of the past. I'll use the present tense, and I'll get to the future tense. Mr. Shaw was truly a servant, truly is a servant. He exemplifies what the word servant means. He was a great service to our school and most importantly to our students. As I thought about what to say and where to come from, as I thumbed through the good book, I came to Matthew chapter 20, the 26th verse. It talks about being a servant. I'm not a theologian, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase. Basically, in the book of Matthew 20, chapter 26 verse, it says, great leaders like to order people around. But if you want to be great, you must be a servant. And Mr. Shaw is a servant. I witnessed that personally. Many a nights, I would see him out here till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. He would get kind of mad with me, and I said, Mr. Shaw, you got to go home. But in his stubbornness, it was love, because he loved these kids. He loved Wilson High School. So he was truly a servant. But if you read further on, in that same chapter and same verse, it says, the Son of Man did not come to be a slave master, but he came to be a slave to rescue people. Now, we often hear the word slave and associate it with being negative. But Mr. Shaw is a slave to service, because that's what he wanted to do. You see, our master, at least the one I serve, gives us free will. And Mr. Shaw chose to use his free will to be a servant to everyone.
Amen.
Remember I said the future tense. Well, I do believe that if you submit yourself to slavery of service, that one day in the future, like I know Mr. Shaw will, you will hear that phrase that we all want to hear from the master. Job well done, good and faithful servant. So, Mr. Shaw, thank you, thank you, thank you. Once again, to the Shaw family, especially Mr. Shaw, thank you for allowing us to have him in our lives, and we will be forever grateful to you. May God bless you and your family. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
2 minutes Mr. Shaw's time. So that's a mindset. First, I'd like to thank Ms. Bertha Shaw and the family of Mr. Willie Shaw for allowing me this opportunity to pay tribute to this great council, and to join everyone as we praise and celebrate the life and accomplishments of Mr. Shaw. I was honored to find out on Thursday that I have the chance to express my gratitude to Mr. Shaw for the wisdom he imparted to me in our times together. My wife and I met Mr. Shaw in 1996 when we arrived to Darlington High School. At that time, Mr. Shaw was a guidance counselor in the Career Center. I had an opportunity to even work with Mr. Shaw as a mathematics teacher when Mr. Shaw directed the after-school alternative program at Darlington County Schools. And when I accepted the position at Wilson High School, I selected Mr. Shaw to create the School of Foundational Studies